to contribute to other countries' development. In the case of Ethiopia, we are working very hard with the government of Ethiopia in creating the basis for this, to improve, to strengthen, to enhance these relations. Now we are working in very fundamental documents, agreements that allow us to improve and to get concrete results in the field of cooperation in general with Ethiopia.
Strengthening the people-to-people relation is the focus of their diplomatic ties. No matter how long is the distance between them, they have quite meaningful people-to-people relations. The information communication technologies have solved the distance barrier that exists between them.
When there is a distance, the barrier that can be created by distance is being overcome by the technological innovations. For example, there is an air service agreement that can be realized between the two countries, and Ethiopian Airlines can fly to Brazil and can cover a lot of countries in Latin American countries as well. So the distance could be overcome, the relationship matters. In fact, the economic ties can be boosted.
About the distance, I think that you touched a very important point. In this sense, I think that globalization is playing a very important role, because now with easier communications, this distance has diminished a lot. So that's a very positive point of this economic process.
Both Ethiopia and Brazil are countries with diverse cultures which attract thousands of tourists every year. In this area too, there are rooms which help them strengthening their ties.
Culturally speaking, Brazil is very, very much African, deeply inside. Even if the proportions of other groups as Europeans that came to Brazil in 1920 has changed a little bit, the proportion of Caucasian people in the culture, but all of us, there's this amalgam of European culture, African culture that is unique. It's really a very beautiful blend, and we are very proud of this.
This is capoeira, a famous martial art and an interesting social tool for all Brazilians. It is a mix of history, culture, music and poetry. Capoeira is said to be their cultural heritage. Showing this culture in Ethiopia tells so much about the Brazilians. It also contributes to strengthen the cultural ties between the two countries.
Primeiramente, eu acho que é importantíssimo esse laço entre as nações e mostrar pouco da sua cultura.
It is very important to show the Brazilian culture in Ethiopia, because as we strengthen the relations between the two countries in political and economic fields, the cultural relation is also equally important. We are doing more cooperation projects using capoeira in other African countries in collaboration with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Brazil, as well as the Brazilian Agency for Cooperation.
Uma abertura muito legal que vocês estão dando para a gente, e com certeza vai...
There's a very unique opportunity for Ethiopians to learn about Brazil as we present to our martial art, capoeira, here. And we think it is the beginning of the very good relation, and we do expect that after this show, Ethiopians will have a good knowledge of the capoeira.
As member countries of the United Nations, both Ethiopia and Brazil want the existence of peace and security in the world. In this regard, Brazil appreciates Ethiopia's role in keeping peace and security in the Horn of Africa.
Brazil sees Ethiopia as a very mature regional player that plays a really very important and strategic role in the region to keep peace, to promote development. It couldn't be any other way. You see the actions, the positive, the constructive action of Ethiopia in many situations, Somalia, Sudan, and also in other questions like climate change. In all these fields, you can see that Ethiopia is taking really a leading role and positive role. So we really think that to the questions of specific in the case of peace and security, Ethiopia is a very important interlocutor and partner.
In general, as part of strengthening the South-South cooperation, Ethiopia has been showing strong interest to cooperate with Brazil in different fields of development. This has many advantages for the country. Firstly, it will diversify its sources of development finance. And secondly, there is no any policy precondition from Brazil attached to the development cooperation.
Brazil in its foreign policy, which pursues the ideals of former South-South cooperations, the ideals of non-alignment, the ideals of non-interference in the internal affairs of other countries, the country that espouses in its foreign policy ideals of fighting racism and terrorism. These ideals, these credentials of these foreign policies are basis for strengthening the relationship between Brazil and African countries.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us. You're with me, Bezai Talemu, for the weekly Ethiopian music. And today we're joined by Francis Falsetto, who's the creator of the 27 volume of the Ethio-Pix CD series. The Ethio-Pix is a series of compact discs composed of Ethiopian music from the late 60s and 70s. Francis Falsetto is largely responsible for the popularization of Ethiopian music internationally. Francis Falsetto, thank you very much for joining us.
Welcome.
It is so sad that we've lost our all-time favorite author, Samhat Gabre recently, and I know that he's a good friend of yours, so tell me something about him.
I mean, it happened, we have translated together one of his books, Les Tourmailles Négalen,
Okay.
which were published in French in France, under the title Les Nuits d'Addis Abeba. And what I want to underline, it's a complete translation. It's not an abridged version of the book, because I know this book brought in many polemics, but at any cost we didn't want to cut anything. I mean, it's a great book, and it's a great writer who have left us. It's unfortunate.
Yes, well, we would like to convey our deepest sorrow for his friends and families.
Sure.
Thank you once again for joining us, and we'll have a short break for music now.
Okay.
Yeah.
ጀምር ጨዋታ ዳር ዳር ልበልልሽ ዳንሳልሽ ጨዋታ ዳር ዳር ልበልልሽ የትዝታን 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 ነገር እስቲ ልግለጽልሽ ልጀምር ጨዋታ ዳር ዳር ልበልልሽ ላንሳልሽ ጨዋታ ዳር ዳር ልበልልሽ የትዝታን 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 ነገር እስቲ ልግለጽልሽ ሌቱ ባሳብ ሲያዝ ኮቴውን አጥፍቶ ትዝታሽ ሲጓጓዝ ደጁ ሲንኮሻኮሽ ብቸኝነት ለቅሶ ማይተዋሩ ልቤ ሄደ ተመልሶ ለፍቅር ለመውደድ ለፍቅር ለመውደድ ትዝታ ጋረደው ትዝታ ጋረደው ምነው ያንቺን መንገድ ለፍቅር ለመውደድ ለፍቅር ለመውደድ ትዝታ ጋረደው ትዝታ ጋረደው ምነው ያንቺን መንገድ
Welcome back everyone. In case you have just joined us, you're watching the weekly Ethiopian music with me, Bezait Alamu. And our today's guest is Francis Falsetto. Tell us about yourself, how you became interested in Ethiopian music.
Just by love of Ethiopian music, simply. I just came to Ethiopia because of one song, one shekla, Elamela Mela by Mahmoud Ahmed.
Okay.
And as it was totally unknown abroad, I was wondering what is that, and I were part of a non-profit organization making concerts in France, and with my friends they say we have to invite this guy to perform in France, and I came just to meet him. Unfortunately it was during the dark time, so it was a bit complicated, so it took several years before he it is possible to